Day 2 of inter-squads. Looking forward to another a good day, a good work day, a good productive time out on the field. I thought yesterday went very, very well, and a chance to do it again today at a different time of day. Obviously, wanting to see the ballpark at different times, and today, we likely will have definitely a later game at some point, and then we'll see yet as to be determined about on Saturday, but. A chance to, again, get out, get some work. The fans, as we talked about yesterday, really made for an awesome afternoon and gave us the energy, and looking forward to that again tonight with a different group. Oh yeah, definitely keeping an eye on it, and that's going to tell a lot of the story. And then of course, game times will be determined later tonight. But just keeping an eye on that series, and for sure what's happening in that.
Any status updates on Brandon?
He's going to throw a bullpen today, and then we'll get a chance to get a good read on him, and likely tomorrow see how he responds. And again, just. Taking it each step of the way here, and each step has been very good and according to plan, I believe, and that's all a good sign.
Are you going to end up changing or altering these starting rotations at all, depending on which opponent you face?
We're gonna, again, we're looking at everything, and I think we'll have a lot of that information tomorrow as we get everything compiled and ready to go. Yeah, it really, turned out to be an awesome evening. What kind of started out as a small event, turned into a big one, and can't thank the Kraken enough for opening the doors, and a lot of their hospitality was incredible last night. Seeing Julio on the Zamboni was pretty cool. I got to admit, very, very cool moment to see him going around on that. But just a great time for the guys, coaches, families, to get together, and that is one of the benefits of this time. And we've talked about this group a lot, just the love they have for each other, and what they've been through together, and those kind of nights are really a great example of just celebrating each other and enjoying each other's company.
Dan, how important is that, particularly right now? If they've been on the road, they'd probably be going out and doing things together, but when they're at home, there's so much more keeping them together outside of the time that they're here.
Yeah, I think it's an important period for that, and I think with what's ahead, keeping guys together, keeping them focused together, I think is a big part of it. And I think too with families being involved, this is baseball's tough on families, and so to have families be involved as well, I think is very cool, and that's what makes events like last night so special, and keeps the guys together, keeps their families together, and that's what it's all about is doing this together. And as I think about it from a coaching standpoint, like, you can't do it without everybody together. And, that's a kind of a theme for us this year. And I think having those kind of nights together is very cool.
Dan, I know you said that yesterday was more of a bullpen day in terms of who you had on the hill. Was any of the starters going to get any on the mound today?
Probably not, no. We've been able to accomplish what we need to with the starters more in a bullpen session. Today, with the luxury of having some, relievers that we need to still see, and a couple of taxi squad guys as well. It's been great. We'll, get a chance to get a lot of innings in, and, get our 5 complete in and again, and our guys get a chance to get some at-bats. I think it should be another great, inter-squad day, a good day of, good productive work for our guys.
Dan, we're talking to Josh Naylor next here. Just a guy seen from afar, obviously. Everyone knows he's a good professional and he has postseason experience. But just what have you learned about him, his personality, and the player that you've had here the last couple of months?
He's quite a player. And I think we've seen that. I think to me what stands out is just his, how headsy he is, and how much, he really sees the game, and he sees little things in the game, the details of the game, he's able to take advantage of those situations when he can. A smart player. We saw, against Colorado, he's a very clutch player as well. That at bat to drive in the 3 there. just huge. And what he has brought to our club, he's brought an intensity, he's brought, that, extra level of edge for our guys and in the clubhouse, playing through some of the stuff that he's had to play through, shows you that intensity, that toughness, and you got to love to see that. I know he's got a lot on his plate with, his wife back home and ready for what she's going to go through. So he's a tough cookie, and I think he's that's what shows through to me as a player is how strong he is mentally and on that side of the ball as well. So he's brought that to our guys, he's brought that to our clubhouse, and that's been huge.
Dan, could you talk a little bit more about the quality of light in the ballpark and the way that that's shifting? Like, what are the challenges, what are the differences? I know we saw some tougher results in fly balls yesterday with that sun coming straight in.
Yeah, I mean, this time of year it's very different than even during the middle of the summer when the sun's at a completely different spot. So getting used to it here in the fall, I think, is really important. Not only from a hitter's standpoint and what the background looks like, what the pitcher looks like, seeing that bright, the pitcher in the brightness while you're in the darkness, your eyes trying to be able to adjust to that. Obviously, the more practice you can get at that, the better. But then defensively as well, I think as the the roof was opening yesterday, it was kind of easy to see, like, from a defensive standpoint, guys that were in the shade are now in this bright sunlight, and that changes the defensive perspective too. So anytime we can get reps at that, I think is important, and we were able to do that yesterday. We'll be able to do it at a different time today. Obviously 5:30, it's going to be a little darker and shouldn't be as much of an issue. But again, a chance to get out there today and see exactly what it's going to be like.
You guys had so much power this year. I think only 2 teams hit more homers. How do you sort of balance that, understanding that home runs are a big deal in close games, but also not just selling out all the time?
Yeah, yesterday home runs were a big part of the scrimmage. That's kind of what our team does. But I think also, again, and we've talked about the balance in our lineup too. We definitely have a depth, and we definitely have the power in our lineup to go deep. But I think also we have the ability to grind out at bats, and we have the ability to get on base and steal a base and put pressure on the defense, go first to third, get ourselves in scoring position, and then get a chance to get driven in. I think that's another key for what we do. And I think when you look at the playoffs, having multiple ways to score is key. Typically these things, as we've seen in a lot of these opening games, it comes down to something little. And whether that's a home run, which is great on our part, or whether it's getting a single with a guy at third base or a guy at second base, we're going to be able to do both. And I think that bodes well for us as we go forward.
You talked about Josh Naylor's pettiness and his intensity. Was there a moment or a play after he came to you guys that really either surprised you or showed you that this guy is more than just that?
I don't know if I can pinpoint it to an exact day, but I think that's what you see from Josh right away. He's here to work. He's here to play hard. He's here to win, and that's what you love to see from your guys. And I think that was apparent from day one. And I think we had expected that, having played against him, but seeing it up close, seeing it up personal, it's something different. So he's just been a huge addition for our club. He's also a big hockey fan, by the way. So.
And he started, it was a joke about him being grumpy here, right? And it feels like it's come out a little bit more, and that intensity has really started to show more down the stretch into these games. That's something you want to see for the guys.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, it's not the grumpiness, it's that desire to win. And, I think his ability to sort of express that, his ability to spread that to the other, to his teammates, his ability to communicate with his teammates, all that, plays right into it. And we've seen that time and time again throughout this stretch run, and that's going to loom large during the playoffs when those conversations, those communications are very necessary during a ball game. He's the guy that's willing to step up and do it.
Depth in starting pitching has kind of been this team's hallmark for the past couple of years. There have been some health hiccups this year. We're still waiting to see how it feels, but the series could go 4 or 5 games. How much is having that depth and having that many guys that can go together?
Yeah, no doubt. Our pitching depth is something we've talked about, for a lot of years here. And again, we did, fight our way through a couple of injuries this year. But I think that makes you stronger. I think it makes you better. And I think it makes our guys, that much more durable here in this kind of a setting. It's such an advantage to have, the 5 guys that we do that start ball games for us. We'll just kind of see how this thing rolls out. But you feel really good about who you're sending out there every single day. It's at the point now where you've got guys that have, very valuable experience. You got Logan, who had 200 innings last year, so he knows what it's all about. Like, guys that can compete, guys that know how to win, guys that can really sense the big moment. We've seen guys step up throughout the season, and George has thrown some really big games for us now here down the stretch, and he senses those big moments. And so it's all that experience that they've gained over the last several years. Having all of the group of those guys with that experience, I think, is going to be huge here going in the playoffs.
Teams that maybe aren't as deep have to send out someone on short rest. How much different than pitchers that guy usually?
Yeah, I mean, it's these pitchers are very routine oriented, and when that routine gets kind of upset, it can have some bad consequences. So there is an advantage for us, again, with this bye week, to be able to set our guys and for them to understand where hopefully they're going to be and how that all works out with their schedule, and so they can get on that normal routine that they're usually on. And I think that's been a big advantage of ours so far. Yeah, no doubt. I think Colin having to go through injuries, I think you learn a lot about yourself, and I credit Colin a lot for going down to Tacoma and doing what he did and getting better. We see that a lot where guys get a chance to go down there and work on a few things, and I thought the way he threw the ball yesterday showed that he took advantage of that time. And a guy that was big for us last year, and a guy that has a lot of good baseball in front of him yet. Really good to see him on the mound yesterday and doing what he did.
If Brian Wu is unable to start in the ALDS, who would we see in that section of the rotation? Would it be Bryce Miller? Would it be Emerson Hancock? What would we do?
Yeah, I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think, again, today is going to be a big day for Brian. But as we've talked about, we have 5 good starters, and we have depth there, and we'll just we'll assess as we go. But I think Brian, it'll be an interesting day for him to see how he feels today and see how he feels tomorrow.
It's been a fairly shifting defensive infield over the defensive infield that you started the season with looks pretty different from what we're ending up with. What are the changes that's caused in positioning, if any, and who is overseeing that?
I think, again, when our analytical department is so good, and they help a lot with the positioning and where guys are in the field. Is that what you're alluding to, kind of? Yeah. So I think, the personnel that we have, the defense that we have had, I think has been outstanding. And I think all those factors factor into where they want guys to be, the positioning that they have, and it's, on all accounts has been outstanding and continues to be. That is a big factor going into the playoffs, because the defense taking care of the baseball, and you talk about little things, and not giving 90 feet away. Having a good defense, having a solid defense, being able to get the ground balls, a big part of what how we're going to be able to to have success here in the postseason. And I think our guys do that very well. And again, it's a group effort from analytics to coaches, and then right on down to the players.
Is that positioning optimized for different per opponent based on maybe hitting tendencies of who the team is facing, or more looking at what a player's range is?
Yeah, I mean, it's It's pretty inclusive of a lot of the factors, and it's who's pitching, who's hitting, all those kinds of things that go into it. And again, it's probably more math than I could figure out in my head, but these guys do such a great job with it, and they have really dialed it in and dialed the whole process in.